Okay, so what we're going to do in this lesson is take a look at how to take all the information that you have gained about working with constraints using world space, local space, pose space, local with parent, and bound roles in a real world scenario. So what I want you to do is go under File, do Open, and open the rigging lesson 02 l.blend. Now this is the file that we had left off where we had just completed stage 1 of the rigging process. Now we're not going to save anything in this file, so I want you to go under File, do Save As, and we're going to save this as a rigging lesson 03 a.blend. Just overwrite it. We're going to overwrite this file again when we start the module-based rigging. Go ahead and just save. Now click on the armature and make sure that you are in pose mode, and we're going to actually look at this bound. Basically everything that I'm going to show you is going to be true for all the bounds. We're just going to use this bound as an example. Go ahead and zoom in, do shift middle mouse button over here. Now do Shift S and we're going to do cursor to select it. We have to expose the local coordinate system for this bone that this bone established itself in edit mode. Go ahead and switch to pose mode, do Shift A, and over here just add a grid, press the tab key, press the S key, and just scale this down quite a bit over here. Okay, now of course if we want to see this through the figure, we have to go to the Object tab and enable X-ray. Now press the 3 key to go to the right view. Because the tail of the bone is always aligned to the y-axis, we have to press the R key, press the Control key down, and rotate this by 90 degrees. Press the 1 key. Now I'm going to press the S key and scale this down just a bit more like this. Do X and let's delete only faces, and now press the Tab key. Now we need to tell this grid to copy the rotation of this bone so it can align itself. So go ahead and click on this bone, press the Shift key down, click on this, do Shift Control C, and here we're just going to do copy rotation. Now we need to expose the axis for this bone on this grid. So we're going to do Shift A, and over here do empty and just do arrows, and it's going to be quite big, so press the S key to just scale this down, let's say like this. And of course we have to make sure that X ray is enabled. Now over here, because we're already copying the rotation of the bone, we can simply just click on the grid, press the Shift key down, and click over here, do Shift Control C, and just do copy rotation. It's the same thing. Okay, now over here I'm going to just click this and actually press the S key to just scale this down just a bit more. Now over here, what I want to show you is that when you click over here on this bone and press the R key, you'll see that the grid is not moving with it, and that's exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is click on this grid and do Control A and do Visual Transform, go to the constraints and turn this off. We're going to click this and press the R key, so it should stay put. This is because this bone in edit mode, right, the local coordinate system will always stay here. It's not going to move, right? So now we're going to switch to pose mode. Now click over here and press the R key to rotate this. Now what you've seen about parent-child relationships is that because this bone's parent is this bone over here, this bone is going to track a copy of the local coordinate system for this bone. It has to, right? You've seen how this works. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click on this grid, do Shift D to duplicate it, right click to cancel, and press the S key to scale this out a bit. Now over here what we need to do is copy the location of using this bound. Actually go ahead and click this, press the Shift key down, and click over here, and we're going to do Shift Control C, and we're going to do copy location. So it's going to put it over here. So this means that when we click on this grid, when we look at the location values, we're just going to put it on its tail. Go ahead and push it back up. Now over here we of course have to tell this bone to copy the rotation of this, so it's already here. Just go ahead and turn this on and collapse this. Now over here, when we click on this bone and press the R key, this is actually not correct, right? Because the grid cannot rotate when this bone is rotating in pose mode. That's not possible because the parent is simply tracking the local coordinate system. So how do we fix this? All we have to do is click over here, press the shift key down, click on this grid, do shift control C, and do another copy rotation, just like this. Now over here, we're going to simply say, okay, evaluate yourself in local space, and we're going to invert all of these and click on offset. Now when you click this, press the R key, you'll see that the grid does not move, but it definitely travels with the parent. Now why did we do this? Because over here, when you click this, we want to see that, okay, if we want to change the location values, how this bone is going to move according to this local coordinate system. So of course we can't do anything, is because over here we have connected enabled. So we have to remove that. So press the tab key, go ahead and remove connected, press the tab key over here. Now to see this, you have to press the shift key down and basically move these numbers. So it does it a little slowly. So you can see that this bone is moving in its local coordinate system, right? That's being tracked by the parent on the X and on the Z. I'm just going to do Alt G to reset the location. Press the 1 key. So all of this over here should make sense to you as to what exactly is going on over here. Okay. Now what we're going to do is actually, let's just create a duplicate of this. Do Shift D over here. I'm just going to place this over here. And what we're going to do is actually copy the rotation of this. Click on this, press the shift key down, and click on this one, do shift control C, and just do copy rotation. Okay, now we're going to go over here and just remove the previous grid. Now of course we're going to just do shift control C since we have them still selected, and we're going to do copy location. So it'll appear over here. Let's just move this up. Okay, so this again is just exposing the axis for this bone in pose space. That's all this is. Okay, so now when we click over here, press the R key, everything should move accordingly over here still. Okay, so that works. So now what we're going to do is we need another object to take a look at how these concepts work. So the easiest way to do this, a logical way to do this, is just press the tab key, and having this bone selected, just do Shift D to duplicate it, right click to cancel, and press the Y key to sever all the connections. Now press the tab key. So you'll see that basically we just left this bone over here because it has no parent-child relationship. The reason we did this is because we're going to see how all these concepts come together. So go ahead and click on this bone, press the shift key down, click on this one, do shift control C, and here you're just going to do copy location. So here you'll see by default when a constraint is added to a bone, it's just going to be world space and world space. So here Blender is just putting this bone wherever this bone is, right? You can notice that it's doing it on the head. Now what I want you to do is actually on this bone, we're going to evaluate the target local with parent. Okay, now over here we're going to do local space. Now the question is, how is this working, right? So whenever we do local with parent, we've seen that the information that's going to come from this bone, when we state local with parent, meaning that this bone has a parent, this grid's local coordinate system is going to be used to see where this bone ended up using this system. That information is then being handed off to this bone, and it just so happens that this bone's local coordinate system also matches this bone. So this bone is proving to you how this concept is working, basically what I'm saying, right? That information that's coming from this grid is being injected into this bone, and this bone is showing you that it's the same exact information, right? This is how this concept is going to work over here. Now, what I want you to do is over here, we're going to leave this at local with parent and now switch to world space. We're going to see where this bone ends up. Okay, so this bone is ending up over here. So how do you make sense of this now? Remember, whenever you are dealing with locations, you always have to think about that it's always about how far an object is from the center of the 3D grid or the origin point when you're dealing with pose space, or the center from the local coordinate system of an object. That's all this is. So what we have to do is expose the local the global coordinate system axis so we can see it visually. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and switch to object mode, do Shift C to place the 3D cursor, do Shift A, and here we're just going to add arrows and press the S key to scale this out. I'm just going to click on X-ray so we can see this through the figure. Okay, so now let's take a look at what's going on with this bone. We're going to switch to pose mode. Now it's might be a little difficult to see what's going on, so what we're going to do actually in this case is go ahead and click on this bone, press the Shift key down, click on this one, and over here let's also select on this one over here, and now we're just going to do Control I to invert the selection and press H to hide it. So we are only dealing with these three bones. Okay, now what I want you to notice over here is that if we look at this bone from the top view, okay, we're looking at this bone. I'm going to actually click on this, press the Shift key down, click on this one. It's just a way to highlight it. Look at how when we are looking at it from the top, here's the Y-X, and this bone is off to the right on X, correct? Now, if we look at this bone, right, where is this bone going to be located when we are evaluating this in a local with a parent? Okay, so that's what we need to understand. So what we need to do is actually click over here and press the S key to scale this out a bit. Okay, now this is a little tricky to understand, right? So you saw that when we press the 7 key, we are looking at this from the top, Z, and then we can see that, okay, this is where this bone is. So now when we press the 1 key and look at this axis, all we have to do is just position this axis just like this on the Z. See, look at the head, it's in the same exact location based on Y and X. That's all you have to do is match these axes to their coordinate systems. So that makes sense. Okay, so now go ahead and click over here, and now we're going to say that, okay, we're going to evaluate this in pose space. Now this is not going to budge. It's not going to, it's because the armature's axis is matching exactly the world coordinate system. That's how this concept is going to work. Okay, now what I want you to do is actually, let's first save this file before we do anything. Okay, so what we can do here is, now some of these things are not going to stay aligned. It's because they're not the child of the armature. So to ensure that this happens, we know that this over here needs to be at least the child of the armature, so it travels with it. So having this grid selected, press the Shift key down over here in the outliner and click on the armature, and here I'm just going to switch this to object mode, and here we're going to do Control P, and we're just going to say object. We're doing this so it tracks with the armature, and this should move accordingly. So go ahead and click on the armature, press the R key and press the Z key, and now rotate this like kind of like this over here. Okay, now we actually can't see the armature's axis over here, so we're going to make sure that it's in pose mode. Click on this armature and go ahead and enable the axis. So now if we look at this bone according to the armature's z-axis, you can see that this is where this bone is, right? It's the same concept. So now let's go ahead and switch this back to pose mode. Now if we take a look at, okay, so this axis is getting left behind because we didn't do copy rotation. So in this case, all we have to do is click on this, press the Shift key down, click on this guy, do Shift Control C, and just do copy location. So it'll just snap over here. Okay, so now if we do the same thing, look at this from the Z, you'll see that it's the same thing. See where this bone is? That's how this concept is working. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and reload this file. You understand how that works. Okay, so over here we had looked at it in pose space. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, of course, This is pretty straightforward. Local space. Over here, we already looked at local with parent, and we're going to do local space, press the 1 key. Okay, so this again is about the copy location. So this simply means is that if we click on this bone, press the shift key down and change its X, that bone will move on its X, Z, and of course Y. Pretty straightforward. Do Alt G. Now go ahead and click this, and now we're going to change this guy and force it to be local with parent, and over here local with parent. Okay, this bone is going to move. How do we understand this concept? Because as I've shown you, this is where it starts to behave strangely, right, which we saw. Because if we press the R key, it's just going to move all over the place. So it's actually very easy. All we have to do is simply take a copy of this, because this matches the armature's axis, right? So I'm just going to do Shift D to duplicate this and bring it over here. So we know that the local coordinate system starting location is going to be right here. So if we press the G key, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in over here and place this manually right over here. And now press the 3 key, press the G key, and just eyeball it to over here if you want to. Okay, just like this. So over here, if we click this, here we're saying local with parent, and this is local with parent. Okay, so here when we're doing local with parent, this bone is saying that if you look at my local axis, right, if we look at it from the Z, this is where this is. Now if we bring the pose space axis over here to its origin, if we look at it from Z, guess where it's going to be? Exactly in the same location. So this is how you can use this concept over here. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward as to how that idea works. So what I'm going to do now is simply just reload this file, press the 1 key, and over here we're just going to do local space and a local space. And that's really it, right? You can see that everything makes sense when you start to think about the coordinate systems in this way and just align them to their own coordinate systems when you're dealing with bounds. Now over here, let's go ahead and shut off the location, and over here we're going to now do copy rotation. So let's go ahead and click this, press the shift key down, and click on this one, and here we're going to do shift control C and do copy rotation. Okay, now here we're just going to do world space and world space. So basically wherever this bone, however this bone's orientation is based on the world coordinate system, this bone is going to do the same thing. How exactly is this going to work? So to do this, what we're going to do is basically, now when you're dealing with rotations, you want to think about where the head of the bone is. We're just going to take this guy and do Shift D, press the S key to scale him down a bit. Now press the G key to bring it over here, and click on this, do Shift S and do cursor to selected. Click on this, do Shift S and do selection to cursor. Okay, so this is representing the world coordinate system. The reason we're doing this is because over here we're evaluating this in world space. So we're going to do the same thing for this bone. Click on this, do Shift S, do cursor to selected. Click on this, do Shift D to duplicate it, do Shift S and do selection to cursor. Okay, now let's hide some of these things. Press the H key to hide this, and that's all I'm going to do. So you can see that according to the world coordinate system, this is how this bone's orientation is, and this is how this bone's orientation is, right? So when we press the R key, this is why it moves this way. It's pretty straightforward, right? Let's go ahead and save this file, and we're going to have to pick this up in the next lesson. Thank you.